This webinar gives advice on adding overheads into foreCASH. This webinar does not, however, cover wages and salaries, which are discussed in a separate recording. When adding overheads, you may want to split them by cost centre or department. So let's see how we can add a cost centre. By default, foreCASH just includes a general cost centre. I've added 4 other cost centres previously, and to add another one, I'll come down to the box at the bottom, add the training cost centre, the training department, and add it to the list. Okay. Let's look now at adding some actual overheads. Many business overheads follow a recurring pattern, and foreCASH allows you to add recurring property costs from the second tab here, and other general recurring costs. Property overheads have their own section in foreCASH cash flow and profit and loss in order to help highlight rent and rates payments, and so these are entered via a slightly different screen. The third and fourth tab here allow you to enter simple or more complex irregular overheads. Overheads can be given a type, and there's a list of predefined types set up already, but if you want to add your own type, I think in this case I'll add a new property cost, and for sake of argument we'll just call that new property type. Add it to the list, and then if I want to marry up with the format of your usual account, you can move the order up and down. Okay, so let's add a general recurring overhead. We'll click to add details for a new overhead, and in this instance I'm going to add a telecoms overhead. I can give it a specific description. Let's call it mobile phones. And if we want to, we can assign it to a specific department. We need to assign the cost to a supplier code. Now it could be that we have quite a lot of mobile phone providers and we'll just use a dummy or general telecoms provider, so I've created one previously, general telecoms. Alternatively, it may be we want to assign it to a very specific provider, so I might come along here and say, okay, this is specifically related to BT. We can add the recurring amount that's being paid. We can do that either including or excluding VAT. Let's say the amount is £1,000 including VAT. In addition to the amount of the recurring invoice, we can also specify its frequencies: monthly, quarterly, 6 monthly, annual, weekly. But let's start with a basic monthly one for now. At the moment, this cost assumes that the invoices are paid in the same month that we receive them, but I can also set it to show that we get, for example, 1 month's credit to pay the invoices. Having changed the credit terms, you can now see that we get a delay between 1 month between invoicing and the payment. The very first month of the forecast has been marked as DBL, which means that the payment is dealt with by the ledger. And you can see at the bottom here the supplier ledger that we imported included a balance payable of £970, and that's what will be scheduled in April. Now by default, the monthly payments are scheduled for the last day of the month, but we can also specify an alternative date to improve the accuracy of the weekly forecasts that foreCASH can generate as well. In this case, I'm going to assume that payments are made on the 5th, and that's actually by a direct debit. Now in a lot of cases, people will budget for the same amount throughout the whole year, but we do have an option to say that although the amount is a recurring regular amount, it might actually vary during the period of the forecast. So if we think that the telecom the costs are going to go up later in the year. We can change this amount here, and then additionally, if that change is actually going to impact the remainder of the year as well, you can press F2 and copy to all the later months in the forecast. The last thing I want to do is just click on the second tab here, and I can then add in a prompt to remind myself what I've done. Okay, I'll just save that and we're done. Next we'll add a recurring property charge. So if I add the details, let's add the service charge for the head office, service charge, and the supplier in this case is British Land, and we know that we pay them £3,000. It goes out on direct debit, and that's actually paid every quarter. Now let's say it's paid March, June, September, December, so we'll pick March from the list here, and it goes out on the 25th day of the month. The last thing I'm going to do is note that although the invoice comes in March and paid in March, that the landlord actually issues it 1 month in advance at the start of the quarter. And having changed that setting, if I now look over here, at the end of March we will have already paid the April, May, June service charge. So foreCASH is telling us that we're going to have a prepayment of £3,000, which then runs down across the quarter until we get the next invoice in June. So I'll just save that. We've added some regular costs, so let's now look at something a little bit more unusual. We add an irregular expense, and let's say this is to do with a special marketing campaign. And that we're going to spend £20,000, and that the campaign runs over the summer, say from June to October. You can see that the expense has been spread from the period we wanted, June to October, but it may be that the supplier is actually going to invoice us a deposit in May, and then the final invoice will come in the end of the campaign, not until November. So again, foreCASH is calculating for us the prepayment and then the accrual as we go through the period to tidy up our balance sheet. And finally, we can be very specific about when we're actually going to make the payments using this calendar view. So perhaps the initial deposit invoice is actually paid quite promptly on the 30th of April, and then the final November invoice will actually settle up in the middle of December once the campaign's completed. And we'll save that. If now we just review the impact that those costs are having, close the overhead section, and we'll just run an operating profit summary. And foreCASH is giving us a summary of the costs that we've added there. To see more detail, we can then just push this out to Excel. Now we've got the overheads in Excel, and if we want to, we can drill down into a little bit more detail and see example on telecoms, exactly who we were paying. And we can also go back now into foreCASH and actually calculate the cash flow implications. We can see the monthly cash flow. We go into the overheads. Again, we can see the payments to the specific suppliers that we set up. That's the monthly view, but we can drill down by double clicking into the weekly view. And if we then want to go further still, we can double click into the daily view. I hope you found this demonstration useful. If you need any further support, please contact support@forecash.co.uk. Thank you for watching.